Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we are live from Ciudad Juarez, but I'm going to switch the camera here because Doctor of Dialogue is going to hold it.
Okay. How's that? Good? All right. Hey, yeah, in Ciudad Juarez. So maybe you can, Lori, just kind of give a shot, show a little bit of where we're at. We're in the center of the park, in front of the cathedral.
Actually, the cathedral, yeah, it's way over there.
Yeah, you can't really see it.
Behind the gazebo.
We're trying. We don't want to be like those kind of annoying YouTubers.
But we are actually.
We are actually those annoying YouTubers.
So
we don't want to be like, specifically obvious. Because we're trying to just actually be more educational and just try to get clicks, because that's not what social media is about. So we're here. We got here. We walked.
Where's here?
Here, Ciudad Juarez, Mexico.
And where is that?
We are right across the border from El Paso, Texas. And we stayed last night. We got into El Paso last night. We were in, kind of have traced. We started in Phoenix, went to Tucson, went south to Nogales. There's a border crossing. It's Nogales, Arizona, and Nogales, Mexico. And we went into Mexico and Nogales. It is very much the area where most of the fentanyl is coming in here in Nogales. So then from there we went east toward here. We stopped off at a little town called Bisbee, and then we arrived and went through really the desert. Really fascinating drive. Right along the border, we traced the border, and then got here last night. So we walked across the bridge this morning. There are a few things that are really fascinating about this particular journey, about being on the border. And that is the most fascinating thing is how life goes on. And even with this crisis that, you really imagine, it seems like it's so ever-present. Omnipresent, would that be like the word maybe? From the north, right? When you're reading about it, and we watch videos from the north. We watch videos about it in different places. Of course, they're only going to show videos, but there's a lot going on. But that's a 2,000-mile border, and there's really in the vast majority of places, including the entry spots where one crosses over between the U.S. and Mexico. There's really not much happening.
Well, there's a lot happening.
There's a lot. No, hang on. There's not much happening by way of the so-called the crisis, right? But immigrants coming up from other parts of the world and seeking asylum.
There's a question from Axel. Are there many people waiting to cross the border?
Yeah, there were in Nogales when we crossed back over. There were maybe 30 people who were waiting when we crossed over. Did you say that line? Maybe 40.
Yeah, maybe 40.
Yeah. Here
it was much longer.
It's really hard to tell here because it's a long line, but look, the vast majority of people crossing over the border are people going back and forth
to work
every day or several times a week, weekly, it's just it's profound. And I knew this, right? But it's like you can't know it until it's here.
What is it seems like what you're saying is how I would say it is it's just that people live on both sides of the border here.
Both sides of the border.
Yeah.
They live or they work on both sides. Or their kids go to school. Like there are people that, they drop their kids off at school in the morning and they come and pick them up in the afternoon, that kind of stuff. And they hope that the lines aren't too long. And they get to know the border guards. And the border guards know them. And they're Americans that come over here. Most Americans that come over to Mexico are Americans of Mexican ancestry, but it's just the back and forth. And what is also really fascinating is that everybody we speak with, every single person we've spoken with, both in Mexico and in the United States,
says that they don't really feel this crisis. Everything is normal. Everything is kind of the same for them. That mostly what is happening is there's a backup of people here in Mexico, and then they get processed and they get on buses and they go somewhere else. But they don't.
There's a question from Jay. He says there's a fast pass system, isn't there?
Yeah, you mean to cross back and forth. Yeah, like in cars. So but still, every car gets checked. Doesn't matter if you have a fast car, like a great car, whatever it is. We have a passport, but we're going to wait in line because that's just the nature of it. And right now, there's so much contraband going back and forth, particularly fentanyl, that they're trying to stop. So it doesn't matter that you go over every day and border guards know you, and you've been doing it for 5 years. So your car's going to get sent along, but you're going to be waiting behind some other cars who they don't recognize and they don't trust, and so it's just crazy, right?
But I think the biggest thing that's interesting is that there is.
Let me take this so we can go the other direction and see what I'm looking at. All right, there we are, Dr. Holiday.
I think though what's most interesting, we're not inside the Customs and Border Patrol where you're working through person by person, family by family.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
And where people are going, they're in detention, or waiting for asylum.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that we're not seeing. But what's most interesting is how people live with how much trust there is actually in the people that are crossing back and forth frequently, and how unscary it is.
Yeah, how normal.
How very informal a lot of it is, right? And so we talked to one person who was saying one of the border guards started asking her all these questions as she was crossing back into the U.S. And she said, "Wait, why are you asking these questions? You must be new here." Because she does it so frequently and she knows the border guards.
Yeah.
So it's just how different it is for the people here, and in terms of their everyday compared to those of us thinking about the bigger issue. The people here are thinking about that too.
They're thinking about it.
But it's the way life goes here is
It doesn't slow down.
And it's very bicultural.
Yeah, so bicultural. Here, I'm just going to kind of give to what degree is the situation at the U.S.-Mexico border the same, different as the situation in the Mediterranean countries? Yeah. I think the difference here, do you want to?
No, I'm going to hold it now.
Yeah. I think the difference here, by the way, in response, the reason we're here in Ciudad Juarez is because, we wanted to come to El Paso because it's a big,
a flashpoint.
It's a big,
it's a flashpoint.
It's a flashpoint, and there's so much traffic back and forth. So we just felt like let's compare. But the difference between here and in Europe with Mediterranean countries is here there's a long-standing history of people going back and forth, people living these bi-national, bicultural lives. You just can't. Everybody's just going back and forth. The guy who, at the hotel who parked their car, right? I was asking him, hey, where do you get the best tacos al pastor? And he said, when I want them, I just hop over into Mexico, right? And from the hotel, it was a 10-minute walk, and he just walked across the bridge. And he says, and I get my tacos al pastor because I have my places there where I get them, and then I come back over. The difference is going over is really easy, and the Mexicans, the aduana, the customs officials, it's kind of mostly, they know what they're looking for, right? They're the same thing, just like the Americans. But the line going back might be really long. So if you're living on the U.S. side and you decide, hey, I'm going to go over and go to my cousin's birthday party or something, for 3 hours in the afternoon on a Sunday. Well, when you're going back over, the line might be a half hour long, it might be 15 minutes long, or it might be 2 hours. It just depends on how many people are going back and forth. But mostly, you kind of get a sense of it, like holidays and certain days. It's going to be longer. So you have to prepare for that. But otherwise, yeah, it's different because it's all new. Like most people crossing back and forth over the border, and again, it's happening every day, all day long.
as it's been happening for decades and decades and decades. It's in Europe, it's not. It's people who are coming and they're planning to stay, and that's just a sort of whole different kind of flashback. Here, that's just not.
Here meaning right at the border.
Here, right at the border.
Yeah, but but here's the other thing. I don't, unfortunately, coming across the desert, man, it is not easy. And it's hot. Right now it's in the low 70s. The sun's pretty blistering at this moment. But it's not easy to cross over. To cross over through the desert, man. It is like, I mean, obviously so many people die because that's just the nature of it. It's so hard to do. And yeah, so it's not like you're just gonna find a spot, walk through the desert, hop over the fence, or find your way over the fence, or like a break in the fence somewhere, and then you're gonna just show up, walk until you find shelter. The walking to your find shelter could be 20 miles or 30 miles. I mean, it's not doable. It's very difficult. So that's not happening. Usually you've set something up so somebody in this side.
And yet we met someone 2 days ago who that's not the case at all. And I don't think he's alone in what the messages he's heard and his.
Now, we're gonna do a stream on this actually. A man from Honduras who we met 2 days ago in Nogales, who just arrived the night before from Nogales. Really, yeah, man.
Point being, he didn't have any.
Yeah, he didn't have any plans.
No connections, no telephone numbers.
Yeah, no telephone. No nothing. Yeah, we'll tell his story. Is there any other? Have you seen some other questions?
Mostly, I think people are talking to each other.
Yeah. Who else has got a question? Like, pop it on the screen.
One thing that was interesting, maybe you talk about the Mexicans who have green cards in the U.S. We heard a voice of what they were thinking about the immigration crisis in the U.S., as we call it.
Yeah, there is. I'm going to put my sunglasses on. Is that all right? Yes. So one of the things that a voice that we heard.
Can you find out about this? There was just a question that went too fast for me to see, so it was something about the camps on the Mexican side.
Yeah.
Just maybe ask us again.
We didn't see any. We haven't seen any camps per se. Right. They're clearly far. Mostly what happens is people arrive to Mexico and they just find shelter someday until they apply for asylum. So you see at every border.
Can you find out about the separations in the camps on the Mexican side?
Yeah, we're not in the spot. Well, me and Ciudad Juarez, maybe, but we're not in.
We're not able to see it.
And it's hard to, everything is pretty separated, right? So what's important is that you have the largest part of the border is people just going back and forth all the time. And then you have other areas where people are separated. But mostly what you see at each crossing are people lined up with papers. And those papers are largely asylum papers or some kind of papers that are trying to get over it. So everybody, if you line up with papers, you have to go get things in order before you. And again, like today when we came over, there were probably maybe 40 people lined up in the Mexican consulate. Their process is here. Yes.
Jamie is giving us a good heads up that my sound is good. That's because I'm right near the mic, but your sound isn't as good. Hello.
Yeah, okay.
Hang on, someone is asking us to buy some candy.
Sí, gracias. ¿Está bien? Ya, gracias, señor.
Thanks, Jamie. Maybe I just get closer to you?
Yeah, all right, I'll get closer. Also, we had, hang on, I can back up.
What did you say?
How about that?
Jamie is saying that my voice is better than yours.
Okay, all right.
That's why
I'll
I'm
just
getting
speak
close.
louder.
Okay.
Okay, so what was another question? Do you have another question? What else are...
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
I think
By the way, people are really friendly.
I think maybe you could talk about when we're talking about the border crisis. I think a lot of what we're talking about, or maybe what we're discerning here, is that the border crisis may be more. When we think about what's happening at the border doesn't look as much in crisis itself as actually what's happening in terms of entry and living in the United States, entry for people migrating, right? So, and maybe that's obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me.
Yeah, maybe it's best, it probably would be good if we didn't talk about it as a border crisis, but actually, we have an immigration crisis.
Have you talked to people about CBP? Jeff, say that again. The Customs and Border Patrol, but it said something else that you wrote.
Here's something about
CBP One app.
That
I don't think we know what that is. Yeah, Jeff, say a little more.
But here's the thing about the Customs and Border Patrol. They're all over. Right. I mean, the trucks, as we drove from Nogales here to Ciudad Juarez.
So people don't cross illegally at border crossings. Border crossers at a point of entry. I wish I could read these. They come so fast. I guess the issue is this isn't where you would see the illegal crossing.
No, you wouldn't. Like we have to walk along the border to in the desert to get to the place where you're going to see the illegal crossing. But here's the thing.
Is it a human crisis in Mexico? Like death in the desert?
There is, right? Getting here is people die. People don't make it to the border. But so many people, like the guy from Honduras, like he took a train to Nogales, or people take a bus up, right? So Mexicans don't stop people. Right, people are making it up to the border. It's much, but some people do not make it. They do die in the border, in the desert on this side, on the Mexican side. But mostly it's in the United States. And here's the thing: the crisis, the sense that we're getting is the vast majority. It seems to me, right, when I'm getting and talking to people, or what we're getting, is that it's the asylum seekers that are causing the backlog of people. And they are mostly going to the border openings because the only way to get asylum is to go to places where there are crossings and they can apply for paperwork for asylum, okay? The same number of people are crossing over the fence or across the border, maybe breaks in the fence or openings in the fence or places where there are not fences. The same number of people are doing that as have been doing that for the past decade and decade. That's not changing. It is really the issue of the asylum. That's what's putting the crush on things here. And those people are all in the border points, the checkpoints, because otherwise you're not going to get asylum. You have to fill your paperwork out in order to get asylum. Another question? Oh, here's one.
The Border Patrol has reported that it has increased. Do you think the climate crisis is leading to more people trying to cross the border?
Definitely. I mean, this is what everybody is saying. It's the borders in Europe. It's the climate crisis as it plays out in Africa, as it plays out in Central Asia, as it's playing out in South America, as it plays out in Asia. And it absolutely is leading to growing numbers of people.
Also, what about in the U.S. We say it at each crisis, the crisis of fires and floods in the U.S., within the countries themselves, right? I mean, going across borders to other states and what states are going to be getting people where there's no potable water, right? There's a lot.
The wildfires right now in Texas, right? I mean, it's everywhere. The guy yesterday, the gentleman from Honduras, I mean, he's, one of the reasons that pushed him to come is that his fields, his crops no longer grow. I mean, he's had droughts many different droughts, and the crops are not growing. And so it's like when you have droughts that you've never had historically, and they happen year after year after year in the area where he lives, then this is going to be a problem.
How much is drug dealing building the something that I couldn't read?
Drug dealing is a huge problem, obviously. And honestly, here at the border crossings, the Customs and Border Patrol, I mean, they are mostly looking for fentanyl. And certainly, again, in Nogales, that's the number one crossing point. And they're mostly looking for it. And they have these systems in place in some places where you can drive the car in, and they use these X-ray machines to look for fentanyl. They're able to do that. And others that they have the equipment, but it's not operational because Congress hasn't passed money, funded that to actually put it in operation. But look, here's another thing that Lori mentioned. There are a lot of people who have their green cards or have been waiting for their green cards.
People in the U.S.
In the U.S.
Migrants.
Or not who have their green cards. They're waiting for citizenship. They're waiting for things that are really annoyed. They feel like they've been betrayed in a way, that they did it. They talk about they did it the legal way, they did it the right way, and they waited for 5 years or 10 years to get their legal residency in the U.S. or to get citizenship or whatever, and to be able to travel back and forth. And now what they're seeing are different people coming up applying for asylum and like getting all sorts of benefits that they never got, they never received, and still don't receive. And so there's a lot of resentment for people. And there's other people, they also understand that, it's like you're seeking asylum for a reason, but they also understand that many people are seeking asylum for economic reasons and not for political reasons, not because their lives are in danger. Their lives are in danger from starvation, but their lives aren't necessarily in danger because somebody's chasing after them to do them harm. So it's very complex. It is very, very, very complex. And I don't. There we go. And I don't take it lightly. Like we really have to get things under control. The gentleman, there's so many people that are coming here. They've risked everything. They've given up everything, and they end up in a place like Ciudad Juarez or Eagles Pass or Nogales or any number of other crossing spots, Tijuana, and they don't have any plans, and they can't cross over, they can't go back home. They have risked everything, so it's really So it's just like
There's a lot of desperation.
A lot of desperation. It's a lot of desperation. We had talked to people who are desperate. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the person who has to make decisions, but I certainly would say it's just pretty intense to be here, to be on this side of the border, and to be walking around. Lori and I have spent a fair amount of time in Mexico or other Latin American cities and Latin American countries, and so we're pretty comfortable walking around this city in a way that maybe a lot of other people wouldn't, because
Someone is, I think it's Matt, was asking, what do Mexicans think about Trump?
I think that that's a good question. People have on the American side, I asked a lot of people about Trump, and they have mixed feelings about it. Really, in part, depends on how they're feeling about the immigration issue, right? Those that are feeling like that, feeling kind of betrayed, that they did it, they came over the right way, they took all the steps, they really sacrificed many years waiting to have residency here, and many are still waiting, for that. And now they can't go back and reapply, right? They're waiting for a green card, but they can't come back into Mexico, and they have sort of had to wait there for that to come through, and they can't go back now and reapply for asylum. So some people who have asylum are getting further ahead than they are, like getting licenses. You know, we talked to one woman who's like, I don't even have a driver's license. I've been waiting years for that. And these asylum seekers immediately getting licenses,
Places to stay, licenses,
Yeah, so
food.
Yeah, so I can understand that. I think mixed feelings about Trump. On this side of the border, I don't know, we haven't asked. I honestly, so many people here, they don't.
Yeah, I want to ask the question, Jeff. Thank you. I was going to just ask this to Sam, and thank you, Jamie, for the update on the audio. Just before that question, which you're asking about how many are legal, illegal. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, can we just talk about when you're legal, illegal immigration here at the border? Can you say something about
the vast majority of the immigration is legal. The vast majority. Again, it's people going back and forth every day.
But that's not immigration.
No, it's not immigration.
No, but
most immigration is the back and forth. That's important, right? It's because it is immigration. We don't. Okay, it's not immigration. It's
Just talk about the legal, illegal immigration. Like, what do we have we learned anything about that just being here?
No, I haven't learned anything about it. I think that we're seeing the numbers remaining mostly steady. Yeah, I think.
Because people trying
not
to
being here, but being back in the U.S.
People trying to cross here.
Yeah.
This is legal immigration.
People crossing illegally.
Right,
Without papers, right? Crossing through the desert or somehow.
Right.
Yeah, but essentially the same. There's an uptick once in a while, but essentially the same numbers of people who are crossing over illegally are going back, either going back voluntarily or getting kicked out of the United States.
And so, is the surge in immigration really the surge in the attempts for legal immigration?
Exactly. The attempt for asylum. That's the main part of the surge. Yep. When you see these large numbers of people lined up somewhere in groups trying to get in or trying to push their way in or trying any number of things. Mostly they're just waiting in line. And they're mostly waiting in line in these camps that they themselves created, right? And so, the international organizations, put tents up and do all sorts of things, right? But most of those people are waiting for asylum. But the illegal and the immigration, the numbers appear to be very steady.
Although, and Jamie, I'm trying to move the mic closer to Sam, so I don't know, is it better? I know it's a weird camera angle, but is it better that way?
Unfortunately, I brought a wireless microphone, but I brought the wrong one. So.
Now I lost my question that was coming up. Maybe somebody could repost what was just there. Oh, I know what it was. Somebody posted a number of like 21,000 people crossing in, I don't know if it was 72 hours or something. And we did speak to a border crossing guard who was talking. He was saying, maybe you want to just say what his perspective was on how many, because he definitely talked about the uptick in people coming through.
Yeah, definitely an uptick right now in people. Yeah, people coming, again, these are the asylum folks, right? There's definitely an uptick right now. It's over the past year or so. Yeah.
And he was talking about, because you asked him how he felt about that, and he was like, well, we just have to follow the laws. Like, he didn't really think it was a great idea to have that many people crossing into the U.S., but he said we just follow the law.
Yeah, he was saying, listen, all these people here for CBP, the Customs and Border Patrol, none of us make any decisions. We're just following. Whatever what they tell us to do is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But the important thing, the biggest part of their job, however, is cars going back and forth that are carrying either weapons into Mexico or drugs into the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things. That's what everybody's trying to say.
But just to say, in terms of the question that was asked, like, he did affirm how many more people were being allowed to cross.
And they keep coming, right? Because the word is out that you can get asylum. So, this guy that we talked to, and again, we took some video with him, we interviewed his you know, he's in this little town in Honduras. He doesn't know. He doesn't have a phone. He's not on the internet. He has no idea. All he hears is the rumors, the things that other people are saying. He's like, hey, if you get to the border, you'll get asylum going into the United States. So you get people like him who just risk it all. His family didn't want him to come, but he's going to risk it all, and he's just going to come into the U.S. or come make the trip to us.
There was a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. There was a question about us getting do we get our passports stamped or anything?
No, we just walked over.
And
yeah, there's nothing. Both times we just walked right in.
yeah, but walking.
So today we paid 50 cents to the Mexican border. No, we just got a nod from the Mexican, the immigration official.
And then on the way back, we used our global
On
entry.
the way back to the U.S., yeah, we have these Sentry cards, these global entry cards, but we have our passports. But
no visa was
But
needed.
there's no visa, nothing. They also it was just to say like, hey, I mean, you could tell. Look at us,
Yep.
right?
But everybody, it was true for most people that were passing. They were just
most people that were passing.
Mhm.
All the Mexican Americans or American Mexicans. You know what I mean? It's like that we were in line with all sorts of Mexican American Mexicans, and some of whom were U.S. citizens. Some of whom the woman in front of us in Nogales had the same card that we had, so she was an American citizen. Other people have green cards. Like, just going back and forth. Man, I cannot explain enough. Like, Lori and I stood on a bridge, and we watched all the cars being stopped and searched. Not searched, I shouldn't say stopped and searched. Stopped, said hello to the drivers, and mostly just passed by.
wave them through.
They waved them through, and once in a while, like, they would stop somebody and be like, and then they would have a longer conversation. I can't explain these CBP, the Customs and Border Patrol agents, the police, the officers, how smart they are. Like, they know exactly what they're looking for, and so like you just have hundreds upon hundreds of cars that are just going through every half hour, right? And so they got to just keep it moving.
Someone was asking about danger of illegal immigrants.
Gosh, it's totally dangerous.
No. I think it was dangers coming as a result of them.
Yeah.
Hola.
Señora.
¿Cómo
¿Qué tal?
estás?
¿Está haciendo cine?
Yeah, sí.
Un momento.
You have
20.
Hang on one second. I'm gonna turn it around just so you can see, like, again, like kind of what we're seeing. Yeah. Mostly it's. Here we go. What were we asking? Oh,
Is it dangerous?
Yeah, it's so dangerous, man. The coyotes,
No, I thought so. Whoever wrote that question, I thought you were talking about, is there danger from the illegal immigrants in this area?
No, not at all. There's no danger at all from people who are undocumented, who are waiting to cross. There's almost none. You know, there's a police presence here, but you know, like the narcos they're not here. They're further in there's not a huge police presence, but here in the plaza there's some National Guard, maybe like 8 or 10 people, but that's pretty common in Latin America, in Central Plaza. No, there's no danger at all. People aren't dying. They're just hanging on. Like, they're not the ones who are breaking laws. They're trying to, and you know, they're asking for handouts also. And we just meet so many people who are just, they gotta survive. You know, some have money, right?
But these are not
Some don't.
wealthy areas. The border regions are not.
Border regions are now wealthy areas. Yeah, this is not, if you can tell, you can see from, this is not a wealthy town.
And it's not dangerous either.
Yes,
Those
yes.
two things don't have to, I don't know, they often go together, right? Where
Yeah,
we
like-
think of poverty and then the
Yeah.
dangers, but it's, I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of commerce here.
There's a lot of commerce, lots happening. You know, I spent, 3 months in Mexico City and traveling around Mexico. Lori and I have been back. Lori was in couple times, but then Lori and I were back traveling by yourself, you and I, different times. And then in all of our travels in Latin America, you come to a place like this, you know it's mostly not going to be dangerous. But if you're not used to it, you're not going to be comfortable. You know, it's going to be really difficult. But you know, we walk around. We're the only gringos, man. I've not seen any other.
Not that we're not the only gringos. We're just the only white people.
The only white gringos. yeah. Okay, yeah. There was one. But yeah. No,
But a lot of people are. You really can't. I mean, it's an odd thing because there's so much mixing of culture that it's hard. You really can't tell who's gonna speak perfect English, which many people do. In the other border area that we because we were looking up the demographics, it was 75% of the people who live in that town speak both languages fluently.
Yeah.
Right. That's it's just an interesting.
I don't think that's true here.
I don't think that's true here either.
But still, you know, we ate at a restaurant a little bit ago. We had breakfast, and the server, the young woman, was from Venezuela. And so, you know, she was waiting to cross over because her fiance lives in
Austin.
San Antonio, right?
Oh, San Antonio. Yeah.
And so they were going to get married, and she was planning to, you know, get married and move with him to go to San Antonio. But she was from Venezuela. But I assumed she was from Mexico or Ciudad Juarez or somewhere in Mexico. She was from Venezuela. So,
A lot of different.
So there are a lot of people here who are, including people who are waiting, man. They fill out their paperwork and they're just waiting.
And in line the other day, we saw African people.
They might have been Haitians, but they were either West African or Haitian. But we couldn't really talk to them because of kind of the nature of how the lines were. We didn't see any Chinese, though many Chinese crossed at Nogales. There's clearly were Venezuelans or Colombians or other folks who were. So, yeah, really. But yeah, you just got. It's really just. It's game changing. Like the way you. I don't know, just being here, the way I think about it, the way I see it. I think once again, it's just how life is so normal, so much of the time. The kind of thing that I'm always saying in my class. Right? The extremes are. I mean, obviously there are, you know, surges of people here, which is very admirable, but in a very small area, very tiny areas. So here, we've also spoke with a number of people that, I spoke with a couple of people, I should say, that felt some kind of way about how the border itself is, it's like people are talking about this crisis at the border, but like, this is our home, man, this is where we live, there's no crisis going on, we're just living our lives.
Meaning that they're not feeling it as a crisis for them, for their lives day to day.
Yeah, and it hurts them because people had the idea, so on this side of the border, even on the other side of the border, people had the idea that there's a big crisis, and so people stay away. Whereas they used to say, hey, I'm going to pop down to Nogales and go into Mexico, or I'll go to El Paso and spend a day, and then I'll go into Ciudad Juarez and spend a couple days, maybe stay in a hotel there. You know, you buy something, right? People who are selling, you know, the restaurants, people who are selling tchotchkes and that sort of stuff, hotels, like they're not getting tourists, and so that really hurts them, and that's a problem, right? So the crisis at the border, those big headlines, it hurts their livelihood.
Also, just to say, we talked to people in Phoenix and Tempe and Tucson, so further from the border, obviously, thinking though that they would be really feeling like immigrants coming to the city and needing places to stay, and who knows how accurate, but the people that we spoke to say they're not feeling it.
No, not feeling it at all. Yeah, that was also really interesting. There's like nothing, and mostly because, once again, the people who are crossing illegally, it's basically the same numbers as always, right? It's the asylum seekers, but they're mostly, once they get over the border, they mostly go on buses. Almost all of them get on a bus and then they get bused somewhere. They don't stay here on this side of the border. They're going elsewhere. So you know that, and that's true in Arizona, in New Mexico, and in Texas, and in Florida. You know, it's true everywhere. So in California, right? So, and most everybody has somebody. You know, they know somebody, right? So they're gonna go. And you got to have asylum. You have to have somebody who's gonna help to sponsor you, right? I mean, that's kind of the nature of it. So it seems like. All right, where are we at? Anything else? Any other?
I'm not seeing questions right now. Jamie said the sound is good, so that's good.
All right, maybe we could just walk, and I'll just walk next to Lori. We'll just kind of walk.
It was
through.
great for a second, then it changed, so it's not as good. The sound isn't as good. I actually
isn't
would.
as good?
I would prefer not to walk with this.
Yeah. It's
Can you
probably
sit
better
down?
we don't. Yeah. All right. How's that? We'll, any final questions, and then we'll end.
Yeah, Jeff is saying the sound goes back and forth, so it's good. We just a little taste of life here on the border.
Yeah.
And we do have video that you'll share at another point, some conversations. Is there anything you want to say to?
No, I don't. I think.
Evan wants to know, do you like 90s shades?
Yeah.
Those are not from the 90s,
They're
Evan.
From the 90s, actually. I have to have them because the sun's right in my eyes. All right, I'll do that. How about that?
By the way, Sam's repping Penn State and World in Conversation. All right.
No, I think the other thing I want to say about just being here, being on the Mexican side, this is what I've always experienced in Mexico. It's like a real pride that the Mexicans have. Like, it's really like there's like a, I don't know, there's just something about the Mexican people, and I think, yeah, I wish more Americans could have the experience of kind of coming here and just going to parks like this, just hanging out and meeting people, and just getting a sense of what to do.
Maybe in your next live stream, you could talk about the reason for the scare tactics, if somebody asked. I do think, just to say, can I just say one thing?
Yep, go ahead, Dr. Mulvey.
Building on what you were just saying. When I'm coming here, just like other places that
Oh wait, hang on. You gotta get close. All right, go ahead.
I can't. I don't know what.
You're all right. Go ahead and talk now.
Okay, this is a quick thing. Coming here makes me, just as a person, as a citizen, want to solve this. Not want to fight about it, obviously. It's not obvious, but really to say, like, people deserve to live a life, right? Whether it's on one side of the border or the other side of a border, and just feels like no matter how we solve it, it makes me feel like we need to address it, all of us, more directly.
Yeah.
Again, not to say the border should be open or the border should be completely closed, but just in honor of the humans that are here, that we are. We could figure out some better ways.
Yeah, I feel like that. And not all these people. I think the important thing is just what we're always saying. It's like not everybody wants to come to the U.S. at all. And if they do want to come to the U.S., it's for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
People have livelihoods and their families, and just like Americans, you know, you have your life there. Like this guy I was talking to the other day, it's like, look, my life is in Mexico. My family is there, so like I go back and forth. It's like I don't want to live in the United States. And like he comes over to work, but he lives in Mexico. That's like pretty common. I think it's really worth thinking about. All right, man. So we're gonna.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Jeff. You wanna?
Yeah, that's it. You want to say goodbye, and then I'll. All right. All right, y'all. Thanks, everybody.